What is up, Planeswalkers? Theoric6 back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and helps upload the channel. Now today, we're playing a different take on blue-white control. Do you like blue-white control? Do you like making sure that your opponent dies very slowly over the course of the game? But do you not like Teferi? Do you hate Nexus of Fate? Well, I've got a deck for you. This is what I like to call Thopter Pals, and it revolves around these three Planeswalkers right here. They don't all make Thopters, but they do all make artifact creature tokens. So I was like, let's go ahead and utilize these cards alongside Depose Deploy. I had a great time playing Depose Deploy in the addendum mechanic video. And I really like the card, and I think that in conjunction with some of the other cards in this deck, you can have a decent, weird creature planeswalker control deck that utilizes tokens. So we're gonna hop right into it. We have 4 Fountain of Renewals in this deck. This deck isn't technically super artifact oriented, other than the token creation, but having Fountain of Renewal helps a lot to stave off death against mono red decks, burn decks, and it works really nicely with Zahid and Karn's constructability. Additionally, in matchups where you don't really need the life gain, you can go ahead and sacrifice it and draw a card, which is very helpful. Dawn of Hope is a nice combo with that, in that if you are against control and you have both of these out, you don't have to sacrifice Fountain of Renewal. Instead, you're going to be able to pay 2 mana to draw a card and keep getting the card advantage that way against your control opponents. What's really nice about that Dawn of Hope Fountain of Renewal combo is that Dawn of Hope against control is a fine card by itself because it allows you to have a win condition in an enchantment. So if your opponent isn't playing something like Cleansing Nova or Ixalan's Binding, essentially if they're not playing white or I guess green, if they're for some reason mainboarding artifact enchantment hate in a green-based control deck, then you're going to be able to have a really nice win condition that's relatively difficult for your opponents to deal with. And what's helpful is once you are get to the late game in grinding matchups, you can utilize Dawn of Hope as a win condition that can't be targeted with things like Vraska's Contempt and whatnot. We are running 4 Treasure Maps because Treasure Map is a fantastic card for most control decks, and it works out even better here because obviously we do have some nice artifact synergy, and we are going to want to make sure that we hit our relatively limited answers. We have, I guess I'll talk about our answers right now. We have 2 Sealaways because we do need some early contesting of the board against our aggressive or our aggressive mid-range opponents. So Sealaway helps with that a lot. I didn't really find any better artifacts that could do a similar thing. I have seen some lists like this run Diamond Mares instead, but I found that there was enough difference in what exact color you're going to be utilizing, or it'll be colorless, that I found Diamond Mares they don't do the best at contesting the board, and we do already have Fountain of Renewal. We are also running 3 Ixalan's Binding. These are typically to deal with the Immortal Sun, which isn't running around too much right now, thankfully, but also just other Planeswalkers in general, right? Our ability to answer Planeswalkers is not fantastic, and our ability to answer Planeswalkers is kind of important, especially Planeswalkers like Vraska and Vivian Reed. So those green planeswalkers we really want to make sure we have some sort of answer to. Additionally, this does allow us to deal with the enchantments out of the red decks so that they can't get essentially infinite value on us and we can actually utilize our life gain. Additionally, we have some nice board wipes. We have 2 Settle the Wreckage because, well, sometimes things dying isn't exactly permanent, so we want to have a nice exile. I'm not entirely sure if the correct split here is 3 and 2 or 2 and 3. I have 2 and 3 right now, but I could definitely see 3 and 2 being better. And of course, we are running 3 Cleansing Novas. They destroy all creatures. We do have a decent number of creatures, but since most of them are just 1/1s that we get in addition or from other cards, usually it doesn't matter too much. And we can destroy all artifacts and enchantments, but usually we don't want to do that. I did forget to mention Ixalan's Binding can exile Wilderness Reclamation. If you go up against Turbofog, just concede and move on. You won't have fun. Even if you win, you're not going to have fun. So next we get to essentially what our win conditions are. So we have Depose Deploy, and mainly we're using this for Deploy. This is a fantastic card because it gives us 2 bodies. If we have to, we can block with them, chump block, or trade, I guess. And it gives us life, which is really nice. It works with Dawn of Hope. It's fantastic. But something that should be noted is that with Depose, you can essentially combo to get rid of a creature with vigilance. Specifically, the things I've dealt with are Aurelia. So I've had my opponent have an Aurelia out that I didn't have a current way to deal with. I drew a Depose when I already had Seal Away in my hand, and I was able to tap Aurelia down and then Seal Away it. And since you draw a card from the Depose, you're not really losing any card advantage. You do use mana, you use more mana than quote-unquote necessary, but it is a nice trick that you should be aware of. But Deploy is fantastic because it counts all of the creatures you control, so if you have some Thopters from Deploy, some Thopters from Tezzeret, or, Zahid out, some Karn structs, you get a decent chunk of life. And of course, we are running 2 Zahid because I love Zahid. I played a lot with Zahid when Arena was still, like, right when Dominaria came out, and we still had Kaladesh and stuff. Zahid was really fun, and I wanted to bring him back because you can play him for 4, right? If you have a Fountain of Renewal out, you can easily play Zahid on 4, and it's a nice 5/6 relatively early on in the game. This does apply a decent chunk of pressure, so that's why I like having it as a 2-of. Then, of course, we have our main way to win the game is we turn 3 Dovin, turn 4 Karn, and turn 5 Tezzeret. The boys are back in town. Typically, you're going to be able to, if you like -1 on Dovin, follow that up with a deploy, then the next turn you can plus with Dovin, putting him up to a decent amount, and then at some point, really soon, you can -7. I actually did Ultimate with Dovin in one of my practice games, and it was really cool. I'm hoping I get to show you guys because the animation was really nice. But in general, being able to just gain a little bit of life, and then turn that creature token, or any of your creatures really, because it's not just the Thopters, into some extra loyalty on Dovin to buff them up is really nice. And it's just a nice way to get focus off of your face if you're going against the aggressive deck. So if you play out a Dovin and you -1, gain a life, gain a Thopter, that's a potentially large amount of damage that's going to go to Dovin instead of you. And you can look at it like that in those situations, and that's enough time potentially to set up to get your Cleansing Novas, to get your Zahids down, things like that. Karn, of course, is a fantastic win condition, and it's also a way to maintain card advantage. It really depends on the deck that you're playing against, what your current board is, to decide to +1 or -2. But typically what I tend to do is, if Karn will make a 4/4, I will -2 as soon as I play it. If not, I tend to +1, especially if it's definitely he's only going to make like a 2/2 or something. But if it's like a 3/3, then it really depends on the specific matchup and the specific board. But Karn is very helpful for digging through your deck, getting specific cards that you need. And Tezzeret, of course, is the 5-mana Planeswalker. His plus is to get a Thopter, which is great. His 0 is almost always says draw 2. I was able to grind out a long game against Sultai midrange, who played like several Fine Finalities, several Carnage Tyrants, multiple Planeswalkers, and I was able to grind them out. A lot of that was because of the fact that I was drawing 3 cards every turn because of Tezzeret, the one for my turn, plus the Tezzeret. At some point, I got a Dawn of Hope down. I was drawing upwards of 4 or 5 cards a turn. Of course, the winning of this deck is relatively slow, since we're typically winning with Thopters or Zahid. But the ability to maintain that advantage with your opponent, even if that deck is made for that card advantage, is really good, and a lot of that is because of Tezzeret. For what it's worth, his -9 isn't the best. You can, if you need to, -9 in order to start getting like Ixalan's Binding to target a specific thing, or get a Zahid to, finally kill your opponent, or even to just thin your lands in order to try and find like one of your instant sorceries. It's not the best, but for what it's worth, his -9 does allow you to get your other Planeswalkers. This is our mana base for right now. It seems decent. I'm running 2 Memorial to Genius and Arch of Orazca. Arch is the only one I've ever actually like used in this deck, but they're both here. Since it's just a 2-color deck, the mana hasn't really been too much of a problem. And I do want to talk a little bit about some of the cards that I'm not playing that some people might suggest in the comments. So Diamond Mare, I talked a little bit about earlier. It's just, it doesn't do enough in a deck that doesn't run a large number of a single color. Sai, I actually did have in the deck initially, but as you can probably see, we're only running 8 total actual artifacts that we're casting. So Sai doesn't get as much benefit as he would otherwise in a different style of deck. Antiquities War essentially is the same thing. For what it's worth, we do hit the third lore counter on the saga would be backbreaking, right? Because we have the potential of turning our Thopters into 5/5s and turning our treasure tokens into 5/5s. But I just found that I whiffed way too often on the first 2, and against aggro, I don't want to be spending my turn 4 playing this, and against control, I don't want to be, playing a card that they'll end up not caring about until they remove it before the third saga, right? So I wasn't able to justify that tempo loss. If you modify your deck even just a little bit, or you don't really care about the tempo loss that is inherent with this type of card, then I definitely suggest playing it, because as I said, that third lore counter will be devastating. Divine Visitation, as this is a like kind of a Thopter focused token deck, you know, you could be asking, why aren't you playing Divine Visitation? It turns your Dawn of Hope into better tokens. It turns your Thopters into better tokens. Essentially, the biggest reason is this is first and foremost a kind of control deck. So I didn't want to run too many cards that played into my win condition aspect. But additionally, I'm going to be playing other Divine Visitation decks. Do not worry. So I wanted to, you know, try and keep the decks fresh by not melding them a little too much. And last, I want to talk about Meteor Golem. This card isn't technically amazing. I just like the card, and if you don't have access to all of these rares and mythics, but you still want to play a similar style of deck, I suggest Meteor Golem, because it's cool. And that's really all the reason you need it. I'm going to be playing in play mode, because since the ranked season, I believe, just reset, a lot of people are going to be trying really hard to climb back up the ranks, and I don't want to deal with nothing but mono red. So luckily in unranked, I've been seeing a large amount of variety. I think I only came up against, excuse me, one mono red deck and one Rakdos deck. So we should be more or less okay. I've been listening to a bunch of like old school for me TV show soundtracks, and I'm just like, so sad. The bittersweet nostalgia is real, don't you dare. Okay, I was expecting a Lena Ruff. The fear was going to be real. Oh, well, there's the Lena Ruff. Luckily, it did turn too slow. I mean, they're still going to be able to play it and use it, so. Alright, we do have some nice answers to what they're doing. I assume they're on just straight up mono green. It's possible that I'll seal away this just to mess up their mana, like, down the road, but we'll have to see. So it looks like they're mono green. What kind of mono green? Is it elves? No, okay. So it might be green-red, they just don't have the red yet. Interesting, alright. So I'm definitely going to want to get rid of Wayward Swordtooth. I think actually I'm going to depose this end of turn, and then seal away on my turn. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Fountain of Renewal, that's helpful. It's something I can do on my turn in addition to the seal away. They will be able to adapt the Incubation Druid for what it's worth. But I kind of just need to get to the point where I can, you know, play my Cleansing Novas, right? Yeah. I still hate that sound effect. I think it is incredibly gross. Just getting smoked for getting smoked for 4. Getting smoked for 4. That's totally fine with me. Draw land, helpful. So I could Karn here. Karn would not be the best move. I could probably put him to 6. But I think, honestly, the best move is probably just hold up Settle the Wreckage. Could Karn this turn, plus it to 6. Get probably a land out of it. My opponent attacks Karn down to 2. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to then deploy into a -2. So that's the line I was looking at. So I think I'm just going to pass the turn here. And settle. It's not like the best settle, but against this type of mono green, I actually don't think they have a great way to like draw cards. I think they play Vivian Reed, so I do want to get one of my Ixalan's bindings at some point, and I definitely want to get on the board with, you know, Karns or things like that. Sea League Champion, sure. Alright, cool. Well, I can play Tezzeret, but Tezzeret gets hit. I can Karn up to... Like, once again, I can Karn up. Oh, I don't have 2 blue. Well, I can't play Tezzeret. Good thing I didn't... I don't think it was correct to play Tezzeret anyway. I think I would prefer to Karn and plus.
How convenient. An excellent choice.
Right, well, let's see what I get. I assume I'm not getting Dovin. Nope. Alright, so I'll go ahead and play the other fountain. Let's see if the Steel Leaf Champion wants to go ahead and hit Karn. The plan is to kind of bait out something else from my opponent in order to Cleansing Nova them, but they just might not do it. Dawn of Hope, interesting. Now let's go ahead and plus.
You may regret that choice.
Assume we're going to get the treasure map. He might give us Dovin. I wouldn't hate Dovin. I could play Dovin and then Depose. Yeah, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and play out treasure map. Or would I rather play... Because I'm pretty certain I'm going to Depose this. I didn't play a land this turn, so I actually think I'm going to... No, I can't Depose now. Darn. I can Dawn of Hope to draw cards next turn. No, I think treasure map's just the better choice here. And then I'm just going to Depose on his turn before he attacks. Where's my music? Ah, I messed up. Oops. I hate when I do that. I'll take a Dovin, I guess.
Farewell, and thank you for the lesson.
That's a big oops on my part. It's fine. I'll just protect Dovin then.
You've been analyzed and found wanting.
Okay. You have been analyzed and found wanting. Ooh. I know you see me standing here. Target creature. Sure, that's fine. Do I look good, my dear? Do I look good today? Okay. I'm not going to let him go to combat. Rabid Bite. Incredibly rude. But also, shows me that you don't actually have anything else in your hand, so I'm probably going to kill you. And then I can just start running away with the game with my Planeswalkers. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and keep that on top. We can play Tezzeret. Oh wait, I actually can't play Tezzeret. I can play Cleansing Nova. You dum-dum. So we're going to do this first. Play out Cleansing Nova. Then go ahead and minus. Next turn we can Tezzeret plus, Tezzeret 0. And our opponent is going to get drowned in the advantage. I did forget to do this, that's fine. I don't actually mind drawing a card. We're going to go ahead and plus here.
There is elegance in simplicity.
Attack. Play out a Tezzeret. We could draw more cards, but I think I'd rather just play this. And I think I'm going to do this first. Don't need that. And I will sack a token, it's fine. I do this so that I can start drawing cards with it next turn. Alright, so at this point, we should be able to run away with the game. I guess they could play specifically Vivian. Vivian would be detrimental, but we should be fine at this point. I will go ahead and pay that. But I won't pay this one because we have a Tezzeret, and we'll be able to draw all the cards we want. Let's go and do this.
These contraptions have their uses.
Right, so Dovin will be up to 6. And we'll go in we'll go in 0. Draw a bunch of cards. Treasure map. I guess I'll deploy here. Decline. Don't need it. I will do this. Do I need a replacement Tezzeret? I don't think it could hurt, honestly. But yeah, it's Thopter time. And it's Thopter time again. Alright, Galta is potentially frightening. But honestly, I think that's fine. I do think I'm going to scry the Tezzeret away, though. Now that I see Galta. And we're going to try and draw some cards. We're going to try and draw one of our Ixalan's Binding. 1, 2. Yep, I still have enough mana to play it. Oh, right. Tezzeret, why are you here? Alright, Settle the Wreckage also works. We are still going to draw more cards, though.
I know how this ends.
Oh, look at all these cards!
I constantly seek to innovate.
Yes. Yes! We will go ahead and play Memorial to Genius tapped, because we're just going to Settle the Wreckage on my opponent's turn. Doesn't matter where you attack, I'm gonna settle. Oh no. It's an ugly bear thing. I'm so scared. Sure, have fun with 2 more life. Yeah, I mean, you can attack with it. It's not like you're going to get any extra value out of it. Thopters! Thopters! Thopters, they work. Good old blue-white control without playing Teferi. For what it's worth, you could probably throw Teferi in this deck, and it would be good just for the fact that Teferi's stupid, but my sincerest request is that you don't do that. This hand is bad. This hand is also bad. This hand is keepable. These Fountain of Renewals need to save my life. Oh, I just should tell you guys, Mono Blue, probably the worst magic for us if we don't have a seal away immediately. And it's specifically because once they start having the ability to protect... Alright, they're Merfolk. Thank goodness. Once they start having the ability to protect their queen, as it's called, we're pretty much screwed, right? They just hold up counters, and they just whittle us down every turn for 2. And there's pretty much nothing we can do. Unfortunately, our opponent is running into some blue problems. Dabba-dee, dabba-die. Karn is nice to see. I'm probably going to Fountain of Renewal end of turn so that I can draw a card. I'm likely going to Ixalan's Binding Fudge. I was going to say I'm going to Ixalan's Binding the Deep-Root Waters. Of course, they play a second one before I get a chance. Hopefully they just are stuck on green constantly. Hopefully I draw a card. Can I draw a land, please? I had to mulligan relatively low. Don't make me super sad. This. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This is gonna be a difficult matchup to come back from. Being able to untap with 1 Deep-Root Waters is a problem. Untapping with 2, it's pretty bad. I can clean up the mess eventually. That's fine. Yeah, so it does look like they're somewhat stunted by the fact that they're missing green mana. I'm going to take a decent chunk next turn, but I think the correct decision is... Ooh. I could actually Settle the Wreckage into Cleansing Nova on enchantments? I think that might be a better play. Because that deals with both of them. I'm legitimately not sure. What does this say? Draw a card. Yeah, can't really let that happen now, can I? There's no way my opponent plays. Are they actually kidding me? They play around Settle the Wreckage. I hate you so much, opponent. Yeah, we're just gonna concede. I would rather get in some more games. Alright, who are we up against now? Moutrox? Interesting name. This is a weird hand. I mean, we can Zahid on turn 4. This is a strange hand. I'll keep it. Oh, I just realized we didn't have double white. Do I need to turn 1 Fountain? Yeah, I'm going to play turn 1 Fountain. This looks really stupid, but we don't have anything to play on turn 2 and 3 anyway. So, I think this is fine. And if we're going against red, I want to get my life gain as soon as I can. Alright, so we do have a second white, so that's helpful. So the plan is essentially do nothing until turn 4, where we play Zahid. And since this is probably the burn version, Cleansing Nova, probably not going to matter that much. Honestly, this game is going to be won or lost based on Fountain of... Oh god, is it the mono red Phoenix deck? Alright, I'm actually more scared now. Mono red Phoenix is a deck I've seen run around from de temps en temps. So I could deploy. It gains some life. And it doesn't play... Like, Zahid I want to stay around. So it doesn't play into my own Cleansing Nova as much. Because my opponent does do, like, a super-duper combo turn, where they play out a bunch of stuff, get a few Phoenixes out and whatnot, then I'll be able to Cleansing Nova kind of nonchalantly. And I do think that I'll Cleansing Nova this board, right? These cards together are, I think, enough to warrant a Nova. Not the statistical test. It's a little bit of stats humor for you. I am sorry. I have not eaten. Yep. If I can force them to use their resources and inopportune times like that, then I might be able to get away with them never having this come back. You gonna skewer? Light up stage? Yeah. Well, that's frustrating. Once again, I think this is a cleansable hand. So I assume they'll pay full price for this. They literally might as well. Yep. And I do think... Ooh... I really like the idea of playing Dovin here. I was going to say Zahid. I should Zahid. I think Zahid is technically a better play because it's a much faster clock. It's really hard for a mono red deck like this specifically to deal with Zahid. And for what it's worth, it does block Phoenixes. So, alright, fantastic. So I thought this was blue-red Phoenix for a millisecond, but once I realized that it was the mono red version, I wasn't too afraid. Because they're a really weird mix between, like, Burn and the Phoenix deck. The problem, I think, with that version is they just lose gas way too quickly, even with Light Up the Stage and Risk Factor. I think they're just unable to really maintain the gas. I think this is a fine hand. Because I can treasure map. And I do have... Yeah, I think this is fine. It's a little on the land light side, but I am running 26 lands. That is something I forgot to mention during the deck. I believe I'm running 26 lands. Okay, this is Simic of some sort. Alright, go ahead and play this. As much as I'd like to, you know, live the top deck dream and try and just top deck a land to play with Dovin. Okay, I think this is the +1/+1 counter deck. I think it's just actually correct to... Yeah, darn. I should have lived the top deck dream. I might depose the J-Light Ranger. Actually, you know what? I should have probably deposed this. Oh, it's the Temur deck. I think I'm going to go and do this. It draws me a card. It allows me to see whether or not I need to play... or need to use Treasure Map, and it looks like I don't. So, Draw the Cowl. I'm going to love cleansing this board. I mean, Dovin Bond just kind of dies. So do I even... I guess he... Yeah, I guess he does if he attacks with both of them. But if the plan is Cleansing Nova, I think I'm fine just scrying some more. Fountain of Renewal's fine to draw, but I would rather guarantee the mana more or less. Oh wait, this will be on 3 by the time I do that. So I think Fountain of Renewal is a fine draw. It's not the best, but I think it's fine. I'm going to take a chunk of damage here, but it's okay. Yeah, I don't think it's the correct time to play Dovin just yet. So let's see what my opponent ends up playing. Alright, that's actually fine.
Would you like to see what's left of us? Draw
Really?
and fire.
Didn't expect that. I was expecting the plus. So I'm going to go ahead and binding that. Darn, I'm actually disappointed that that happened. This deck might be running Thrashing Bronodon. I don't know. I mean, for all I know, they could be running Sunder Shaman, right? Looks like they're gonna Incubation Druid. Can I draw a land, please? Hydra Crazes. Okay. I would still not hate drawing a land, please. Ow. That's not a land. Why do you hate me? Game. That's trample? Jeez. Alright, well, I guess I'm gonna tap this down on their turn. Hope I draw a land and then blow up the world, but I'm falling behind because of Crisis. Yeah, I'm not sure about this specific line. It's definitely frustrating that I didn't draw another land. But for what it's worth, I did keep a relatively low land count hand. Alright, cool. So we'll be able to blow up the world. So hopefully my opponent just, like, puts a bunch of crap on the board that, like, isn't the Hydra Crisis. Ooze. I'm fine with that. Ooze is a fine thing for me to see. Yep, totally. Use your mana for that. Have literal garbage left in your hands. I will blow up the world. Okay. So hopefully I'll be able to start playing my threats. What the hell is happening here? Domri. Okay, he can give stuff haste. Haste to get 1 damage. That's interesting. I will be playing Zahid. Zahid tackles Domri relatively well. Yeah, I unfortunately can't do both. Next turn, luckily, I can play, if I draw land, I can play Karn and Dovin at the same time. So let's hope that Zahid lives. We can attack into Domri. -3, alright. Getting some cards. Getting 1 card. Incubation Druid, not that great. Alright, Domri kind of whiffed. Domri hopefully dies. We're in a decent spot. Adapt. Sure. I am totally fine with that. Cool. I was able to do it. So let's go ahead and murder you. You're not allowed to have cards. Play out a Dovin. Make a Thopter. And make a construct that is a 4/4
Solutions must be built.
to deter my opponent from attacking. Another Domri. Unfortunate. So the auto tapper does a thing where it like forces Incubation Druid to tap first. Carnage Tyrant is a problem. Who dies? Which of my planeswalkers are you killing? I let him die. I mean, obviously, if I double blocked, he would still die, but I would have let him die regardless. who needs to be good when you just draw what you want? Go ahead and attack here.
I'll be back after I've licked my wounds. You'll see.
Alright, that voice acting, in my opinion, is not great.
I will gladly point out from another success.
Alright, cool. Hello, friend. I can now block your dumb Carnage Tyrants. Yep. Who needs board wipes when you just have giant constructs? Seems actually decent. As I said, this deck can probably be made better, but not by me, because I'm not great. If you are interested in this deck, I should mention that MTG... I got a Guild around to come back. I thought it was... whatever. MTG Jeff, I believe, posted a few days ago now, I don't remember exactly when, a video that's this, except it also has green for... what is the card? I don't remember. It destroys all artifacts, I think, and enchantments, and you get a number of 3/3 centaurs. So if you want to see that style of thing, you can go over to MTG Jeff's channel. If you're thinking about other versions of this deck, I think adding black is one of the easiest things to do because it gives you access to, one, great sideboard cards, and two, it gives you access to really nice removal. So you could have Thought Eraser's main deck if you need it. You have Cry of the Carnarium, which is very helpful in this meta. Kaya's Wrath. You're going to have to restructure your mana a bit, but you know, Kaya's Wrath is very helpful. It doesn't give you a lot in terms of other, like, artifact-centric things. You could theoretically run, like, Phyrexian Scriptures as a board wipe and, like, way to combat the graveyard decks. It kind of works with the artifacts and things like that, but there's a nice number of things that black brings to the table that you could definitely check out. But I wanted to stick with blue-white because I felt it was the most straightforward version of the deck. I would like to thank my lovely patrons, especially Salamander and Zoraga, for their continued support on the channel. If you'd like to join them in supporting, you'll find links to that down in the description below, along with links to my Discord server, where you can talk Magic, play games, share memes, I don't know, and my Aether Hub account, where you'll find all my deck lists. If you liked this video, go and tap that like button, add a subscription to your mana pool, and cast a comment to the comment section down below. And until next time, all will be one.